New cards, PogChamp. New cards, PogChamp. First, very important. We have a bunch of new Makonko shit. It's just like drawings. It's not new cards. It's just like, here they are with a sword. Here they are dancing. Here is Hooli's brother that she doesn't talk to. Sure, whatever. I really appreciate they keep giving us new artwork of the sissy hypno archetype. It's insanely funny. Next up, let's talk about the greatest card ever printed. I'm talking, of course, about Shift Your Gears with Ancient Gear Dragon. Okay, so high hopes for this card. It's a dragon, maybe like Cyber Dragon. They're giving new Ancient Gear support, so they're probably going to have to make it really good. If you're familiar with the Ancient Gears at all, you understand that unlike a lot of the archetypes that get like bonus extra support, it is already a completed archetype in that it does something pretty coherent. The problem is the things that it do have these like huge fundamental issues that can't be fixed by like releasing a super agent or like a double helix or something. It's like you would have to from the ground up make a whole new suite of Ancient Gears. So maybe this is the first of those. Ready? Not at all. Nope. Not even remotely. In fact, it's like the worst card ever printed. Really unfortunate because the existence of Ancient Gear Ballista, justifies a cool one of good Ancient Gear, but it's awful. Ancient Gear Antique Dragon or something. 500, 2500, can't be special summoned. What? Why are we putting this text on cards? Come on. It's 2024. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. If you control no monsters or all monsters you control are earth machines, you can normal summon this card without tributing. Oh, thank God. Well, now it's playable. You just have to give up Harvester. I can only imagine they printed this specifically to see, like, how far you can push a man before he takes action. Like, they were just reading Peeps' tweets, and they were like, keep going. If your opponent activates a spell, trap, card, or effect, you can send a machine monster from your hand or face of field, or an Ancient Gear Golem from your deck to graveyard, negate that effect. It's all right. One spell trap negate, provided you have, Ancient Gear Golem in your deck. No, you can send itself. It's just, it seems quite bad. And, like, the rough part is, like, the way that this is going to be negotiated in a board state is, like, your opponent is always going to have, like IP Masquerena, the ability to walk over this before going for a power spell, because it's got 500 fucking attack. And, like, you have to normal summon it so you can't get it in defense at all. It's so bad. I love it. It's so good. Thank you for printing this. I appreciate now, like, I imagine that they're Will of the Council fans and they want to punish Peeps for his awful takes. All right. Next up. Let's talk about the good cards. An Unholy Requiem with Fiendsmith. Okay, so this one's kind of interesting. We are potentially entering the Year of Light, following the Year of Fire. Finally, a year of chaos typings. And it begins with this, a series of light fiend monsters. Now, many of you will go, Doug Voice Fabled, and you are right to do so. These cards have a lot of synergy with a lot of existing archetypes. Fabled is one of them, but also Lithium has already posted a video with Magical Musketeers, which is insanely funny. The man cannot put him down. All right. The Fiendsmith. First off, happy we're getting cards named shit like this again. I'm sick of cards being named like Veda Carticulate, the Crungulus Chunkster, the Fiendsmith. It's like that Tumblr post, which is like, you don't want to be on the end of the Throngler. All right. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name once per turn. 1, you can discard this card, add a Fiendsmith Smell Trap from your deck to your hand. Crazy. 2, you can target a Fiendsmith equipped spell you control and a monster on the field. Send them to the graveyard. We'll get back to that. And if this card is in your graveyard, shuffle another light fiend monster from your graveyard to the deck or extra deck to special summon this card. Seems really good to me. Fiendsmith Lacrimosa. 2 light fiend monsters. If this card is fusion summoned, target a light fiend monster in your graveyard or banishment. We are back to the word. Either add it to your hand or special summon it. 2 monsters your opponent controls lose 600 attack. This is just such a funny thing to print on a fusion monster. Like, just give it the DPE problem. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, shuffle another light fiend monster from your graveyard into the deck or extra deck. Inflict 1200 damage to your opponent. Okay, we have located the time win con. This card is named after Lacrimosa. Okay, we are familiar. Oh, maybe we're not. I mean, you all know the Requiem Mass, right? Is this the Tradcath archetype? Fiendsmith Dies Irae. You have to use the Fiendsmith for this. 1 is a quick. You can negate the effects of a number of face-up cards on the field until the end of the turn, up to the total link rating of link monsters equipped to this card as equip cards. We'll come back to that. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle a light fiend monster from your graveyard into the deck or extra deck, then target a card on the field, send it to the graveyard. And then Demon Smith Requiem. Of course, this will not be named that. But, like, this is cool. Look at it. Two-word names. 2-word names. I like it. This guy rocks. He's like a coffin or maybe a crucifix? Is this? You can only summon Fiendsmith Requiem once per turn. During the main phase, tribute this card to special summon a Fiendsmith monster from your hand or deck. I mean, that's that's not bad. What the fuck? You can target a non-link light fiend monster you control. Equip this card from your field or graveyard to the target as an equip spell that gives it 600 attack. Okay, so you equip this from the graveyard to Dies Irae. Requiem is a form of mass for the Roman Catholic Church used for the repose of the souls of the recently deceased. This is so fucking funny. I love that they're using like the same type of language they would for like Shinto rituals or something, but it's about Catholics. The Roman Catholic Church has a Requiem Mass, which frees the souls of the recently deceased. All right, there's nothing exciting about this. We've all been to a fucking Requiem Mass. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but it's not like we're fucking, actually... Jillian has told me this many times, and she's like, I think that a lot of Catholic shit people just put up with because they're like, oh, we've been doing it so long. Like, it's just normal at this point. But it's so funny. She's like, I think that a lot of other Christian denominations are probably very correct in thinking that we're like satanic pagans. Because, like, you look at this shit, I mean, you really can describe it like, oh, we are praying to the souls and we are practicing cannibalism, and it's like, yeah, I could see where this comes from. But Chad is right. It is largely mass and mass Japan. Okay, thank God there's more, because this is all good, but we do need a little more. Demon Smith Sequentia. During your main phase, you can fusion summon a fiend fusion from your extra deck by shuffling materials mentioned on it from your graveyard into the deck. Recognize the guy on the link to? This is Despair from the Dark, right? Or I guess maybe it's what's the 1700 one? Fiend from the Dark? Is Fiend from the Dark a fiend or a zombie? I know Despair is a zombie. All right. During your main phase, you can fusion summon a fiend fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling materials mentioned on it from your graveyard into the deck. Okay. That's insane. You can target a non-link light fiend monster you control. Equip this card from your field to graveyard to the target as an equip spell with this effect. Your opponent can target the equip. Oh my god, that's really good. Protects your fusion and also gives you a second negate. Not a second negate, a negate of 2 cards on the field. Sequentia is Latin for sequence. Okay, this is literally just mass Japan. This is like... It's like, in the glorious Nipponese language, this means the one who comes next. And they're doing the same thing here. They're like, sequentia is the ancient Latin term for sequence. I love it. It's so good. This is the opposite. It's Japan doing this shit for us. Do you think there's people in the OCG doing new cards, Pog Champu, and they're like, ah, yes, this is an ancient Latin tradition. Yes, the Holy Roman Catholic Mass. And it's like, yeah, you guys know that people go to this in sweatpants, right? Like, this is not... Oh my God. Is there a version of like Japanese Westaboos that are like really into Catholicism? Like, I really hope there are. We're way in the weeds on this one, but I need to see some examples. Okay, all right, okay. Fiendsmith Tractus. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn. 1, add a light fiend monster from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. What the fuck? 1, fabled. But 2, holy shit. 2, you can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon a Fiendsmith from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. This is like the craziest card ever. Tractus is Latin for progress. There are many different words read as I sigh, so we're unsure as to a possible pun. Okay, thank you. Demon Smith Sanctus, they're literally going to be like, what's a they're going to explain what a Sanctus is. Holy shit, this is so good. Oh my God, they're literally doing like, we will be refusing to translate this word as it really only makes sense in the original Latin. The Sanctus is a hymn from Catholic liturgy that goes as far back as the year 200 in North Africa. The most recent Roman Missal has it as, Holy, 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 Lord God of hosts. Heaven and earth are in your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. While the original Greek appears to have been, hey, what the fuck? We have no bananas today. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. If you control no face-up monsters, or all face-up monsters you control are light fiend monsters, special summon a Fiendsmith token. Also, you cannot declare attacks for the rest of the turn except with fiends. And then if a face-up Fiendsmith monster is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can set this card. Okay, this card I think is a lot better than it reads, because of course... Can't you convert the token immediately into the link one? No, it needs to be an effect monster. No, it doesn't. Oh, I was reading what it is, not what it needs. Right, okay. So this is a 1-card combo. And it just keeps coming back. Okay. It is sung at the end of the preface of the Eucharistic prayer of remembrance, consecration, and praise. This is so funny. Like, they're describing it like they're a guy with, like, innate forbidden knowledge, but it's just like your parents made you go to Catholic school. As far as puns go, sanctus is Latin for holy. The kanji here are praise and holy. Oh, my God. This is so good. Fiendsmith in Paradisium. This is actually going to be translated as Fiendburger in Paradise. Target a level 7 or higher light fiend monster you control. Send all cards on the field to the graveyard except that monster. That's okay. If your opponent special summons a monster while this is in your graveyard, banish this card. Send a Fiendsmith from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. I could see this being fine. You kind of have to print you win on a trap for it to be played nowadays, but this is close. I could also see it not seeing play whatsoever. They're like fucking holy shit. In Paradisium deducant te angeli in tuo avent. Holy shit. I'm going to cosplay for this. I'm going to show up as like a Catholic. I'm going to cosplay an American Catholic for this. I'm going to show up with like a tap out shirt. Holy. These look really good, right? Like, these look insane. There's not a lot of them right now. Like, I hate to be like this, but it really does feel like a significant amount of first wave decks, there's just not a lot of good names. So, like, the Fiendsmith is obviously really important, but you need to be able to consistently get 2 light fiend monsters somewhere. And like, okay, here's one, right? Maybe you can get to the 2. And then you can fusion with this card. But, like, in order to consistently be able to make these monsters, you really need to be playing probably a supplemental Fiend engine. And in order to win the game, you probably have to be playing more than this. Like, this is a super good, consistent, repeatable engine that does not win the game. It's kind of like Flame Swordsman, and then it can make that one guy over and over again every turn. But, like, that one guy doesn't win the game. You need, like, a bunch of other stuff going on. So I am saying the first thing that comes to my mind, obviously, is Fabled. I'm like, I think the Fabled cards are, to this day, really good relative to, like, how cards in 2013 came out. There's a lot of stuff you can do with them. They recently got legacy support that's truly shocking. I think muskets are an easy fit. Magical Musketeer, already pretty powerful. Kind of looking for a home. Things have not gone fantastically for muskets just because, like, you get a lot of value off of Max being able to just get stuff going second. But, like, if your opponent is permitted to go first in today's day and age, they can just cut you off of ever doing anything. I'm thinking about some dog shit light fiends like Majesty's Fiend that are pretty funny. And there was one other one that I wanted to think about. Resonator. I think Resonators are, like, a deck that could pair particularly well with this. The thing that kind of turns me off for Resonators is the good Resonators aren't light, right? They're, like, dark mostly. I think there are some Resonators that are light, but I don't think they're the ones you want to be playing. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see where these go, but for now, really high hopes for this. I think this really does have tier 1 potential. It is going to require either a very powerful second wave of support or people to find a consistent supplementary engine. You know, maybe it's muskets, maybe it's Fabled, maybe it's Synchron, you know, but who knows? Live Twin Fiendsmith. So I've heard a little about Live Twin relative to this archetype, and I hate to be wrong about this for the millionth time, but I just don't really buy it. Like, I feel like the weaknesses of Live Twin are so numerous that, like, you just don't really want to have to deal with it. Like, yeah, you can convert a Kiss-a-Kill into a Fiendsmith, which is cool. All right, there's the 2. You get to make the fusion. Like, this isn't, to me, a winning board. It's just the existing Live Twin deck with 1 negate, but the way in which Live Twin loses the game is being interrupted on the way to their, like, Trouble Sunny setup, right? And so this doesn't resolve that problem, I think. And I think something as simple as, like, the deck still has a real problem with, like, hand traps is kind of lights out for an archetype that's looking to raise the ceiling on a deck that never gets to access, like, the top end of what they get to do. Also, I'm homophobic, right? Let's check out Lithium's video. I know this motherfucker has uploaded a video. Oh, maybe not. Oh, no. He just did it last night, I guess. Oh, it's on Twitter? Oh, Jesus. I didn't even think about it with yubel. Are they actually... Are they doing Fiendsmith stuff? This is just yubel so far. Oh, there it is. Okay. Get Fiendsmith. Grave Squirmer. Adhara Pop. Is Spirit of Yubel not once per turn? Holy. Wow. They're going to have to ban Wave High King Caesar. Holy shit. They're going to have to ban... Wow. That's really something. Huh. That's 1,000 bricks? No? This is like no bricks. Yubel is completely fine playing Yubel. Wow, Caesar is really good. All right. I'm going to see if I can find the lithium. Is there not a lithium video? Yeah, here we go.
Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back. There's a new Fiend archetype. At least it was revealed one, I think.
All right, what are we working with?
There are multiple interactions and add-ons with both hybrids. They strengthen each other, and you'll see why. This particular interaction slash combo, this is 3 cards. You'll see there's multiple variations of this particular end board. Here in this particular combo, I'm not.
Oh my god, you can go max into Requiem.
You know, we don't care about Nibiru, but in later replays, we do always respect Nibiru, especially in this format with Snake Eyes, Fire Kings. And I think every deck is main decking 3 Nibiru. So this deck, like 1 card, this new Fiendsmith, this level 6, has the capability to pump out the DDD.
Caspar plus Wave King plus Caesar. That's... Or what is that guy's name? Caspar. Wave King, Caesar. Oh, man. That's pretty interesting. I could see it happen. All right, next up. New Drytrons. These came out last night, early morning. I think, is that fucking Mirror Jade in a Drytron suit? What's going on here? All right, so we're beginning with Drytron New 2. If Drytron New is so good, why isn't there a Drytron New 2, right? Can it be normal summoned or set? Must be special summoned by a card effect. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. You cannot ritual summon monsters the turn you activate either of this card's effects except machine monsters. If there's a Drytron on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand to graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. And if this card is special summoned, you can add a Drytron from your deck to your hand, except Drytron New 2. Drytron Meteonis. Dad, he's home! Other Drytron monsters you control can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Up to twice per turn when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish Drytron monsters from your graveyard whose total attack equal or exceed that monster's original attack. Negate the activation, destroy the monster. And if this ritual summoned card is destroyed by your opponent, you can special summon a ritual monster with 4,000 attack from your hand or deck. This is treated as a ritual summon. And finally, Meteo Aurora Drytron. If a Drytron card becomes banished, you contribute a Drytron monster, then target up to 2 of your banished Drytron cards. Add them to your hand. You can reveal a Meteonis Drytron in your hand to ritual summon a machine ritual monster from your hand or graveyard by tributing machine monsters from your hand or field whose total attack equal or exceed that monster's. Okay. So conventional knowledge day one is that these cards are bad. I don't think that's remotely true. I think people are... it's very strange because it's a lot of people whose opinions on like this deck specifically I really do respect. But for some reason, people are unwilling to fathom a world in which you like use Drytron monsters to summon Drytrons. Like they're like, no, this doesn't summon like, what are they doing now? Amorfact or Pain. I legitimately, it's like some of the worst rituals you've ever heard in your life. I think that New 2 is a really good card. I've seen some people calling it quite bad. Obviously, the reason that people are, I think, a little skeptical of it is that fucking lock. But I think it's important, firstly, just as a name. Like, Drytrons have 3 really good names in Alpha, Beta, Gamma. And then they have one, or Alpha, Zeta, Gamma. And then they have one okay name in Beta. But, like, this guy is another card that says Drytron that you can send for like Alpha. It's hard to really get a grasp of how good a card is going to be if its main utility is like being sent off of another card or like being a piece of interaction when you're interrupted. But like for me, this still makes a lot of sense, right? You can like pitch this for Alpha, trigger Alpha. Then you can special New from the graveyard and then go get Zeta. Like it seems pretty good. And notably, it says if there's a Drytron card on the field, you can special summon this from your hand or graveyard. And then if it's special summoned, you can add a Drytron from your deck to your hand, except Drytron New 2. I think this makes Nova a 1-card combo, which is nice. It makes, I think, Fafnir a 1-card combo, which is nice. It just is a question about, like, what do you want the Drytron deck to do? Because Drytron is, despite the fact that it's a ritual archetype, it's not fantastic at actually performing ritual summons. The Drytrons, to my understanding, are way more impressive as just, like, material you can ladder through, right? And I just feel like this really enables that. Like, it prevents you from ritual summoning anything but machines, but it really permits you to link ladder quite easily. So I think that, like, it is likely you are going to use this plus alpha to go into Mu Beta Fafnir and then, like, get Gamma, and then you'll have, like, a whole bunch of material on your side of the field and access to Meteonis Drytron and shit like that. And I think this is in service of a deck that is going to probably either try to make this monster or end on Nids. This monster I am a little less impressed with. I do like that it has a negate attached. Like, that's kind of cool. But the negate works in kind of a clunky way. It's got a really bad attack stat. Like, Meteonis lets you, I think, banish up to the attack. So usually you have to pay twice for a 4,000 attack point Nids. But this guy's got 5. So you, like, have to banish 3 of them, which, like, sucks ass, right? But I think there is still something here. I think there's something worth engaging with. It just weirds me out that so many people see that here's what I will say about Drytron in general. These new cards are very bad in existing Drytron builds. They're really bad in the Drytron builds that people are tinkering with. But those builds are bad anyway. They're not topping. They're not performing. They're not taking down locals even. So why not at least attempt to sort of reconceptualize how the deck works? You know, maybe engineer a scenario where you can build a more targeted board. This is the best time to be making targeted boards in modern memory. And certainly I think new would earn a spot in a hypothetical future Drytron build that's actually good. Yeah. So I will say it's in conclusion, it's hard to rate these because they are bad in the context of Drytron, but I think they are good enough to force people to reconceptualize Drytron kind of from the ground up. And if that calculation happens, I could see these cards, you know, being played, but if it doesn't, or if these cards prove not to be better than what Drytron's already doing, then it's just going to continue languishing. I don't get why people are so tied to their dog shit turn skip. Turn skip? What turn skip are Drytron playing? Are they doing Amor Factor Pain? Really? Chaos Max. Oh. They're black magicianing on their opponent's turn? Oh. Oh my. Oh. No. Not to quote the Dymax article at you, but, you know, stop making worse Centurion. Stop making worse Centurion. You have to stop making worse Centurion. It's easily the best build right now. Well, no, because okay, really, we're really in the weeds now. We're getting tertiary on these motherfuckers. It might be the version of Drytron that wins the most. But if it's not fundamentally differentiated from existing decks, then it's not good. If the best build of Drytron amounts to a worse version of an existing meta deck that is also failing to top, then it's not really worth exploring from my perspective, right? Like, yes, you can build a deck that Chaos Max locks your opponent with some sort of reasonable consistency, which is a type of gameplay that every deck is already prepared to beat because Centurion exists and because Beatrice Transaction Rollback Mayakashi Lock exists for Virtual World. And when you're like the 6th best deck doing that, you're not getting any benefit to playing this deck outside of just saying, well, I play Drytron. Like, you're losing to the same stuff. The advantage over Centurion is that it has better backup plans when interrupted, but it's still bad, yeah. Okay. I will cop to the fact that I don't know enough about Centurion's backup plan to dispute that. But what else do you do? Make format Apo pass? Hell yeah, dude. Absolutely. I don't know. There's some stuff you can do. I still think there's life in this archetype. And I think that these cards do a good job of giving it an identity that differentiates it from those bad turn skip decks, right?